Rich Erickson,
Here.
Tim Scarberry,
Here.
Joe Drummond,
Here.
Don Wonka,
Here.
Chet and Greer absent.
Has everyone looked over the minutes from the last meeting?
There's no minutes.
Oh. Or- Okay, so I'm looking past that. You wanna read the first appeal?
Sure, appeal number 1. A request by Dave Bear of DMN Property Holdings LLC to appeal the determination of the Planning Commission Subcommittee that the proposed change to his site plan should be considered a major change. This is regarding a turnaround for a shared private driveway as part of a special land use. The properties affected by this decision include 4704 32100013, 4704 32100015, and 4704 32100017. The properties are zoned R1, single family residential. Reference Tyrone Township zoning ordinance number 36, section 23.13, amendment of an approved site plan.
Okay. No, we don't have a quorum for.
Yeah, just so for the audience's awareness, I am chairman of the planning commission, and I was part of the subcommittee, so I will not be able to vote. I recuse myself from voting on this appeal, just for everyone's awareness.
So, we're gonna have to table this unless Chet gets here. As far as, the vice chairman, so only do this a handful of times a year. We can go to the second,
Yeah, and the only thing I would,
and hopefully Chet gets there.
Joe, if the applicants here, if they have any statements or things they'd like to bring up.
Okay.
Since they came, right?
Yeah, do you want to go to the second one and then come back to the first one? I've never dealt with this before.
I think we just go through the first appeal and
Okay,
then, you know, ask
We
if
can
they
go
have
through.
any question or input they'd like to give us. I don't,
okay,
we can't make a decision on it,
okay.
basically, but I think applicants that are here, I believe, that give them opportunity if they want to. That's what I would do.
Okay. Well, any questions from the public, comments?
I have several comments, if I may.
Did I do that right? Call
Yeah,
them all.
the applicant, are you representing the applicant?
Yeah, so the applicant's up first, I'm sorry. Explain and discuss,
Okay, good evening, my name is Dave Bear. Good evening. All right, thanks for giving me the opportunity tonight. So this has to do, we had an approved site plan by the township that resulted in 2 shared driveways with T turnarounds and 8 individual parcels that were for sale. We then take that approved site plan and we follow the directions of the township. In zoning ordinance number 36, paragraph H. Drainage, stormwater runoff from a private road shall be controlled consistent with the requirements of the Livingston County Drain Commissioner and the MDEQ. Uncontrolled stormwater shall not drain directly onto adjacent property or onto a public road. Appropriate permits must be obtained from the Drain Commission and the MDAQ and any other government agencies prior to initiation of any work on a private road. Stormwater drainage into a regulated wetlands shall only be permitted subject to issuance of the permit by the MDAQ. Use of stormwater management in accordance with sound drainage engineering practices shall be required. Boss Engineering was our engineer. We applied for all the permits, we obtained all the permits. And the permits required us to do numerous things that were not on the approved site plan for the township, because nobody knows what those are until the permits are issued. So, in compliance with those Drain Commission and the MDEQ, things did change a little bit from what was approved. Like the T-turnaround isn't exactly the same shape. The retention pond shown on the approved site plan isn't exactly the same, because these people all weighed in and issued the permits. So we were in compliance, we were following your direction. We did what they told us to, we had the right engineers on site. And there was nothing in that that says, oh, if something changes here about the approved site plan, you have to come back and tell us or raise your hand. Actually, the paragraph after that kind of, I think, expresses what the intent was. This has to do with private road design and standards. But what it says is there's a conflict between the standards of this ordinance and the requirements of the road commission, the higher standard as determined by the planning commission shall apply. So they're suggesting that, hey, local and state, we want, but there's a higher standard. That this is not addressed in the drainage one, but that was where we are. We felt we were in full compliance. We feel that we have 100% fully complied. There are no changes. Nothing initiated us coming back. Nothing told us to come back at any point in time. And that's the extent of my explanation. Thank you for listening to me.
I'll bring it back to the board for a second.
Let me have to,
Yeah, that's,
there's more public comment.
Yeah.
This says bring it back to the board, and then then call the public. But I can open it up to public first.
I think it's your turn.
Okay, open up, oh wait. I'm just reading his notes.
Hi, my name is Sid Martin. I'm the Shannon Glen Homeowners Association. And the information that you just heard is indeed accurate but invalid. If you look at the portion of Ordinance 36 that was just quoted to you, that has to do with private roads and not private driveways, and this is a shared private driveway. Thank you for allowing the concerns of our neighborhood to be heard. I have here a copy of the Zoning Board of Appeals application. If you will turn to page 4, you will see that the request on the Zoning Board of Appeals says that I request the T turnaround be accepted as built. I would like to address these things specifically. So number 1, the request as built. This is a blanket request that would accept any and all discrepancies or changes to the submitted site plan. If this request is granted, there's no need to follow ordinances. If you get caught, you simply ask that the ordinances be overlooked. And in my 33 years in the Air Force, we call that asking for forgiveness, not permission. I can deal with several of these on pages 4 and 5 concurrently, and it has to do with Eagle compliance. I have submitted to the township the email that I received from Jeff Pierce at Eagle. I had a long conversation with him, and I wanted to make sure that I was in fact accurate, and so I summarized that telephone conversation, sent it to him in email, and asked him to correct any errors. The only error that he said was that I had said the word wetland, and what should have been mentioned was the 100-year floodplain. Here's my email. Mr. Pierce, thank you for your time today to discuss the shared driveway issue in Shannon Woods development off of Riverwalk Drive in Shannon Glen. I want to recap what was discussed. Please correct me if there are any errors. Here's his response. Your recap is correct, except that the issue wasn't the depiction of wetlands, but but the depiction of the 100-year floodplain elevation boundaries. The application was reviewed on November the 24th of 22. Here were my specific questions that he concurred with in his email. Originally, the developer submitted incomplete plans for the driveway. These were incomplete because they did not depict the 100-year floodplain and were therefore returned for completion. These original plans had the conforming T-shaped terminus. He concurred with that. The developer then changed the plans from the T-shaped terminus to the Y-shaped terminus and submitted plans to Eagle with this new shape after that request. Your office did not request the change in shape of the driveway terminus. He concurred. Your office did not reject the original shape of the terminus. You only asked that the 100-year floodplain extent and boundaries be included in the plans. He concurred. Your office does not get involved in Tyrone Township's ordinances regarding the accepted shape of the terminus of shared driveways. He concurred. Your office does not review these plans with respect to fire safety since that is outside the purview of your office. He concurred. So again, if we go, that takes care of pretty much items 2, 3, and 4, and 5 on pages 5. So if we now go, I also have here a copy. So this is my highlighted copy of the Planning Commission meeting from September the 14th of 21, where the DMN agent, who happened to be Mr. Lavenway, also from Boss Engineering, stated, and I quote on page 6 of 9, the T-style turnarounds would be most appropriate. I also have here an email sent from Mr. Lavenway to DMN's attorney on September the 22nd of 22. That was in response to our request asking why what had been planned and submitted to us in our lawsuit settlement had not actually been built. And here's what Mr. Lavenway said to that. So this is to Abby Cooper, which is the DMN attorney. Hi, Abby. I met with Dave and his contractor on site due to topographic concerns and challenges they presented from a construction perspective. The turnaround was rotated slightly to the northeast. Again, 9/22 of 22. We do not have as-built information for the exact locations. That is in September of 22. My information from Eagle is that those plans were submitted to Eagle on 11/24/21. Now, if we will go now to page 8 of the application. So this is a letter from Mr. Lavenway sent to Ross Nicholson, Director of Planning and Zoning, dated September 27th, 5 days after that email, September 27th of 22. Please accept this letter as certification the 2 shared driveways extending south from Shannon Glen Development have been constructed, and I quote, in substantial conformance with the approved plans. The surety will remain in place with Livingston County Drain Commission. So on September the 22nd, we were informed that there are no plans as built, and on the 27th, the township was informed that they were built in substantial conformity with the approved plans. And yet what was built in substantial conformity has now been deemed by a subcommittee of the Planning Commission to be a major deviation from the plans, and the fire authority, which I have the letter here from Mr. DeHanke from the fire authority stating that, let me find that letter just a second. So right here, dated August 9th of 23, which I'm sure you all have, I would like to read what I have highlighted. The western side of the addition extending from Riverwalk originally was proposed as the same T turnaround complying with Tyrone Township Ordinance 36. The turnaround was constructed as more of a Y turnaround. This is an unknown turnaround in this area. And again, I quote, it is unfortunate that the developer did not bring this change forward prior to road construction and sale of properties. The recommendation from the fire department is this turnaround be constructed to meet all applicable Tyrone Township ordinances. So again, when we start talking about the turnaround, it really does not comply with Ordinance 36, Article 24.06, because you'll see later in a letter from one of the Boss Engineering folks that they suggest that what was built is an acceptable substitute for what's called a hammerhead or T turnaround. Our ordinances go even more specifically, and I quote, "The turnaround shall provide perpendicular extensions from the main traveled surface off of the shared private driveway, not road, to permit a vehicle to turn around. The extension shall not be less than 20 feet in width and extend from each side of the center line for a distance of 60 feet. This driveway does not meet that description. Only one limb extends perpendicularly from the main traveled surface." As stated again, if you go to page 8, where the township ordinances are quoted, page 8 is invalid because that's dealing with private roads, not private driveways. If we now go to page 13, the other thing I would like to point out is this was also in the appeal application. And so if you look at these plans, so page 11 depicts the T hammerhead. And if you'll notice just above 4 at the bottom of the page, the date on this is 2/4/21. If you then go to page 10, which is the Y shape, the date on the bottom of that is also 2/4/21. That may in fact be a clerical error, but I have no idea. Page 13. So if we go to page 13 of the application, again, the very first line, the originally approved T turnaround design was designed within the existing easement. The easement across that property exists only for public access to the Michigan Nature Association and Riser Sanctuary. DMN owned all of the land and could have located the driveway and turnaround anywhere on that property and have avoided encroachment on the wetlands and the 100-year floodplain altogether. The only thing is, in my opinion, it was not moved 60 feet, which is all we're really talking about here, simply because it would have been more expensive. Why would we have not done something that would have A, eliminated the floodplains altogether, and B, been in conformity with Ordinance 36? The last paragraph in that letter cites our ordinance 24.06, and the argument laid there is a justification for not following the public ordinances and to accept this configuration that is not recognized by our fire authorities or the township and would presumably require a change in local fire regulations and a change of ordinance 24.06, not just a variance, since only 2 types of turnarounds are allowed in our township. And the listed clearly, the requirements for the T-shape require that the limbs be perpendicular. Additionally, the forebay, which is not part of this, the forebay at the end of the driveway has not been inspected by Eagle for compliance, but I spoke with Jeff Pearson, that will be added to their list of inspections. One home in our association burned to the ground in July of 2022. Our members are very sensitive about fire safety issues. The first 2 homes built in the expansion area were built without the required fire suppression sprinklers that were one of the conditions for Planning Commission approval in their meeting from 9/14/21. One of the others was T-shaped turnarounds instead of the preferred cul-de-sac. The T-shape is already a concession. Shannon Glenn settled our lawsuit against DMN on 11/4/21. Our settlement documents depict a conforming T turnaround. Likewise, the plans submitted to the township showed the conforming T turnaround. Plans submitted to the fire authorities were submitted with the conforming T turnaround. Different plans were subsequently submitted to Eagle. We strenuously object to having this construct be considered a minor change. No one has been able to tell us in Shannon Glen Association what impact this will have on our safety. No one can tell us what effect this is going to have on our fire ratings or ISO ratings, and what, if any, this impact will have on our homeowners' insurance premiums, particularly for those homes located within proximity to these homes situated on a non-approved, non-conforming driveway. At the end of the day, township ordinances regarding the terminus of shared private driveways exist to protect the public. Not enforcing the ordinances put people's lives at risk. Thank you for your time. And if you want copies of any of those documents that I cited, I think I've submitted them all to the township, but if there's any that you want, I'd be more than happy to submit them at your request.
Any more concerns from the public? Or comments from the public?
I guess I'll talk. I'm Landon Chris, I'm the homeowner that bought this lot, didn't know any of this, and now we're going to closing. I don't have anything prepared, but we're going to closing for a lot that we can't build on. So what I would ask, I've heard all this, everything that's been presented, I know every detail about it. What I would ask out of this meeting is that we come to some conclusion, a definitive conclusion on what to do, because this is a debacle, and I can't build a home. So, if, obviously you don't have a vote, I know where this is probably gonna go anyway, if we had a vote, but if we could just advise on what needs to happen, that would be great, because I've wasted too many hours, I've talked to too many people, so, yeah. I'm just frustrated, it's ridiculous, so, thank you.
Anyone else? Bring it back to the board.
I'm not
Do you have
100%.
any questions?
I am not 100% sure that the zoning board of appeals should be addressing major changes to.
Well, no, the appeal to the ZBA is
I know.
a subcommittee decision to deem it a major change. So they're appealing to say that's wrong, it should be a minor change. So that's the appeal as written.
Yeah, I am saying, I'm not sure that this is the right place for us to make a decision about whether it's a minor change or a major change. We're looking at zoning, and this should be at the planning commission level or even higher. And so I would propose that we table this to allow it to go back up to the planning commission to make a decision about what this actually is described as. So I guess I'd like to do a motion that we send this back to the planning commission to determine whether this is a minor change or a major change, that we could actually vote on. I don't believe that this is in our purview to do.
Yeah, and that, just for your awareness, as the planning commission, we deemed it a minor, or a major change, right? So in that case, I think the applicant has to bring the proposed change to the full planning commission for review.
Has he done that?
No, so they appealed that decision. They're asking that it be considered a minor change, and then if it's a minor change, it's done administratively, is how the change is handled. That's why there's an appeal.
And we can't
As the
even
planning
make any-
commission subcommittee determined this should be a major change.
Since we don't have a
Motion.
quorum here, the only motion we can have is that it's tabled back
Table.
to,
Yeah,
back to the planning commission.
well, it wouldn't go back, it'll still be here. Their application is still in to appeal our decision that it's a major change. if
So it
you
has to-
table it, it'll come back.
It has to be
the
tabled
next
no matter
meeting.
what.
It has to be tabled either
Yeah.
way.
And we can't have Greg here for that, because he's in Lake Shannon. So,
He would just have to, his,
so I make a motion that we table this until we can have a quorum that can actually address the issue.
I'll second it. Vote on it.
Okay. Rich Erickson?
Yes,
Oh, no. Can you?
yeah, to table, for
Oh,
sure, it's the
okay.
right thing to do, we can't
Tim
vote on it.
Scarberry?
Yes.
Joe Trolley?
Yes.
John Bunker?
Yes.
Read the second one.
Yes. Appeal number 2. A request by Richard and Nancy Scott for a yard location variance requesting a front yard location, a 12-foot, 14-inch north side yard setback variance, a 73.14 front yard setback variance, and a 5-foot variance from the required distance between the proposed accessory structure and the existing dwelling, located at 10325 Walnut Shores Drive, Fenton, Michigan, 48430, parcel ID 470409200017. The property is zoned RE Rural Estates, reference Tyrone Township zoning ordinance number 36, Article 20, Schedule of Regulations, 21.02, B2B, yard locations, and 21.02B3.
Okay. Applicant, explain.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Nancy Scott. This is my husband, Richard Scott. We moved here from Waterford, Michigan. And what we have is we have property that basically we have an attached garage. We own a 1935 Ford. We have 2 personal vehicles. We have all our equipment basically as far as at our children's house. Our son lives in Linden and our daughter lives in Fenton. And I mean, our lawnmowers, just everything that we own, our garden, everything is there. Our property is basically, there's only one place to build a garage. The other side has a, I'm trying to think of a grinding pump. Utilities are there. All the property is, that's the only straight piece of property we have. It just goes all the way down in the back. I really, when we came to look at the house, it was winter. We're both in our 70s. And the property, there's really no level ground there other than for this one area. And I don't think we ever would have bought the house had it not been. It was winter and it was all ice there, and we couldn't even really go around looking around the property. But now we've bought it, well, I mean, it's ours, and we're just asking for you to please consider, due to the topography of the property, there's no other way we can do it, and we want everything to look very nice aesthetically. We want it to be safe for the environment and everything else. We just feel that it would really would be something that we're asking you, especially for our neighborhood. Anything left outside definitely is an unsafe environment for everybody. And we have nowhere else to store it. We truly need this, and we're asking if you would consider granting our request for
attached garage now, but it's only about 310 square feet, so it's a little tight just for two cars in it, you know. And
Or
we
35
have,
Ford's
we have a
big.
shed, but we're gonna eliminate the shed and put the garage half where the shed is. And the garage is 30 by 24. And it just needs a little bit of variance to build that size, you know.
And the neighbors are definitely, very, very great neighbors, and we don't have a problem. Everybody seems to, no problem, and I'm sure they would have been here tonight if there was a problem. So it's all up to you guys. I believe there's a problem, yeah.
It's all downhill there. And you see the house and then the shed there.
The gravel,
Yeah.
that's the area.
Mhm.
And there is a well on that side as well, so where that shed is, just right,
Over,
there is a well there, yes.
right there?
No, it's behind the shed.
It's behind the shed,
Okay.
yes, it's right there, over in that area, maybe a little bit more that way. No, forward, and then over, yep.
Okay.
I believe we marked it on one of the plans.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah. And even where the well is, it's going, already starting to go downhill.
yeah, I'm familiar with the property.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I think I live right outside the, far enough away. Where's the grinder?
The grinder is on the other side of the
This
house?
side of the house,
Yeah?
yeah,
Right
right there.
in there,
There's
yeah.
right
Right
up
there.
there, yeah.
And
I
that's
see the
all,
lid right there.
yeah, and that's all downhill as well, and that's very downhill. Our neighbor is the one who comes and cuts our grass. He's been doing it,
Ever since we moved in.
ever since we moved there.
I got the lawnmower out, he said, no,
He
I'll
won't
cut the
let us
grass for
do
you,
it.
no problem, so. Great neighbor.
Yeah. There's electrical pole, also in the front of the house, on the opposite side, where the grinder pump is, if you go forward. There's an electrical pole on our property, and that sits way up high, yep, right in there. All the utility lines and everything, all the power going into the house is on that side, so there's nothing we can do. I mean, I can't even, well, we can't even cut that grass, it's impossible to cut that grass. Our neighbor, he whips it and does it, so. I mean, it's way taller than me, the hill.
It's all clay too.
Yeah, it's all very miserable.
What they did when they built the house, they dug out all the dirt from the house and they just piled it in
Mounted
the
it
front.
there and left it there.
You guys have any questions?
No, the only thing I say, if you're planning to remove the shed out,
Yes,
just
Oh, yeah, that's gonna
make
be-
a note of that. on
It
your-
is,
Yeah, that's gonna be
100%,
gone.
it'll be gone.
In the
Before we did the
paperwork
garage.
to the township, maybe update it, just say the
Okay.
shed will be removed.
I
That's all.
think we also, I think it was already brought to,
Yeah.
another lady's attention, she's not here this evening.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, yeah, no problem, yeah, Carrie, that's it, Carrie, and, I thought it was already on one of the papers that it stated that. We would definitely, I know that would be not acceptable, and, we don't need that. Our son is going to have that removed.
Anything else?
Just got See if there's any, comment from the, anything with your comments. Do we have any written concern or written letters or?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna bring it back to the board to make a motion. Consider it.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve the variance as submitted.
I'll second it.
You just listen.
Vote?
Rich Erickson,
Yes.
Tim Scarberry,
Yes.
Don Bonco,
Yes.
Joe Drummond.
Yes.
Thank you very much. God
Thank
bless
you,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for what you do.
Keep it a fight on the line.
Any other miscellaneous business? I call this meeting adjourned.
I see you in Facebook, or not in LinkedIn, period.
Oh, yeah. You guys have retired?
Yes. Yeah. Although my wife is, she's unretiring. She accepted a job with my wife.
Right.
Because she was LC chair.
Yes.
What was her subject?
Your newspaper and publication.